Hi everyone, Dr. Mich Rocela here. This video is for the leadership training of the DIHS student leaders. My topic is suffrage or the right to vote. So what is suffrage? Suffrage is the right or privilege of the electorate to vote for officials to run the affairs of the government or for issues for their consideration which, when ratified, change the Constitution. It is a definition given by Organista. And the definition given by De Leon and De Leon Jr., suffrage is the right and obligation to vote of qualified citizens in the election of certain local and national officers of the government and in the decision of public questions submitted by the people. As also for Organista, suffrage is the manifestation of republicanism. So again, what's the basis of having this right of suffrage or the right to vote? You can find that in Article 5 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So what is the nature of suffrage? Suffrage is a mere privilege and a political right. Suffrage is a mere privilege to be given or withheld by the lawmaking power, subject to constitutional limitations, and should be granted to individuals only upon the fulfillment of certain minimum requirements or conditions. Suffrage is a political right in the sense of a right conferred by the Constitution. Suffrage is classified as a political right enabling every citizen to participate in the process of government to assure that it can truly be said to derive its powers from the consent of the government. You can find this in Article 2 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. The principle is that of a man or of a one man, one vote principle. The scope of suffrage. Suffrage includes the following: election, plebiscite, referendum, initiative, and recall. For the election, it is the means by which the people choose their officials for definite and fixed periods and to whom they entrust, for the time being, as their representatives, the exercise of powers of the government. For the plebiscite, it is a name given to a vote of the people expressing their choice for or against a proposed law or enactment submitted to them. The term is applied to an election at which any proposed amendment to or revision of the Constitution is submitted to the people for their ratification. You can find this in Article 17 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Plebiscite is likewise required by the Constitution to secure the approval of the people directly affected before certain proposed changes affecting local government units may be implemented. So this is in Article 10 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. As for the referendum, it is the submission of a law or part thereof passed by the national or local legislative body to the voting citizens of a country for their ratification or rejection. So you can find this in Article 6 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So what is this initiative? Initiative, it is the process whereby the people directly propose and enact laws. Amendments to the Constitution may likewise be directly proposed by the people through initiative. You can have it, or you can find this in Article 17 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. And as for the recall, it is a method by which a public officer may be removed from office during his tenure or before the expiration of his term by a vote of the people after registration. of a petition signed by a required percentage of the qualified voters. You may refer to Article 10 of the 1987 Constitution for this recall. So, what are the qualifications of the voters? As stipulated under Article 5 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, there are 4 qualifications of voters. A voter, he or she must be a Filipino citizen, not disqualified by law, at least 18 years of age, and have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year, and in the place wherein he or she proposes to vote for at least 6 months preceding the elections. But please take note that a person exercising suffrage must be qualified voter, possessing the said qualifications. Before one can vote, he must first register in accordance with the requirement of election laws. When registration is required before one can vote, registration is not a qualification. It is only a way of determining those who can vote. It is a condition performed before one can exercise suffrage. For this slide, I got this information from the Philippine Daily Inquirer, and as you can see, there are about 65,745,529 registered voters for the 2022 elections. Over half, or 52%, around 32.2 million of the total registered voters this year are between ages 31 to 59 years old, while 33%, or 20.4 million, are around 19 to 30 years old. Around 14%, or 9.1 million of the total voters are 60 years old and above. There are 37,141 total voting centers nationwide. Again, I got this info from the inquirer.net. So the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the upcoming polls, resulting in some changes in the election-related policies and the step-by-step voting process. Compared to the previous elections, this year the poll body had to formulate a slightly different voting process and consider the health and safety of the voters, the electoral board, the poll volunteers, and the people inside and near the vicinities of the voting centers. So as you can see, I got this from the COMELEC website, and the COMELEC had provided 8 steps in voting for the coming May 9, 2022 national and local elections. So for step 1, have your temperature checked before entering the voting center. For step 2, proceed to the voter's assistance desk to secure your precinct and sequence numbers in assigned room or clustered precinct. Step 3, go to your assigned room and introduce yourself to the electoral board by stating your name, your precinct, and sequence numbers. For step 4, get your ballot secrecy folder, and marking pen, and fill out the ballot at the voting area. For step number 5, accomplish the ballot by fully shading the oval appearing before the name of the candidate you wish to vote, but do not overvote. For step number 6, feed the ballot into the vote counting machine, or the VCM. For step 7, check your voter's receipt and then deposit it in the receptacle. And last step, number 8, have your right forefinger nail stained with indelible ink. Again, this coming May 9, 2020, we will be casting our vote for the national and local elections. So take note of the voting time. The voting time will start from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. of that day, on that day rather. As for our organization, the Mulat Pinas organization, we've come up with this infographics, and we have it in the Filipino version of that. So if you want to know more about this voters guide in the Filipino and more on voters education program, you can visit in the look at our Mulat Pinas FB page. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 on election day, standard health and safety protocols are required. These include temperature checks, physical distancing, wearing of face masks at all times, and frequent disinfection of the hands, as well as frequently touched surfaces. So as you can see, here is an infographic provided by the dailyinquirer.net. Wear face mask at all times, maintain safe distancing of at least 1 meter apart, frequently wash and disinfect hands. In other words, we still follow the health protocols. Okay. Again, may I reiterate the steps in the voting process or the voter's guide as provided by the COMELEC. So credit to the owner of the infographics. I got it from the Philippine Daily Inquirer. For the step 1, the temperature check prior to entry to voting center. Step number 2, proceed to voter's assistance desk to know precinct, queue number, and room. Step number 3, proceed to assigned room and present yourself to the electoral board. Step 4, get ballot secrecy folder, and marking pen and fill out ballot. Step 5, accomplish ballot by fully shading ovals for candidates. Do not overvote. Step 6, insert ballot into vote counting machine. Step 7, check voter receipt and wrap it in receptacle. And step 8, have right forefinger nail stained with indelible ink. So again, credit to the owner. It's being flashed in this slide po. Let us all remember when we go there on May 9, 2020 and cast our vote. Do not engage in money politics. Do not sell your vote. Let us appreciate the depth and beauty and precious right of citizens in a democratic state. And of course, let us ask the guidance of the higher being for us to have the right decision in choosing our government leaders. Let us remember, be informed, and vote wisely. To end my presentation, let me read this quote coming from Chai Leng Wen. Democracy is not just an election, it is our daily life. So that ends my presentation. I will continue, oh my God, to do all my actions for the love of you. Ora elabora, that in all things, God may be glorified.
So in addition to voters' education, I will summarily discuss the role that is being played by our office in the assurance of a stain-free and smooth local election. So in our office, we coordinate with the COMELEC and the Philippine National Police to ensure the sanctity and safety of the ballot boxes na ibinababa sa ating syudad. Okay? So in our office, we are tasked to do the inventory of paraphernalias that were being used during election day. We also ensure the distribution of the ballot boxes to the precincts that we have in the city. And also we do this with the coordination of the PNP. So because they are the ones who are safeguarding the ballot and who are the ones who escorts the vehicles that were being utilized by the locality in the distribution of the ballot boxes. So also, we are the ones, aside from the inventory, aside from the distribution of the paraphernalias and the assurance or ensuring the vehicles that will be used to transport the ballot boxes, we also are tasked to aid the PNP and the COMELEC to guard the ballot boxes 24/7. Also, by virtue of the meetings that our office conducts, yung PNP, COMELEC, the Local Traffic Management Bureau were able to coordinate with one another and lay down their concerns or additional aid that they wish to ask from one another. So, in a way, yung office namin is somehow serves as a medium or intermediary between these vital forces that needs to work together during the election period. So, for example, by virtue of the meetings that we conduct, the PNP could ask the Traffic Management Bureau and the COMELEC for the list of the things that they have to provide or the additional number of escorts that they need to provide. The COMELEC could also ask the PNP to provide for additional escorts or what time kailangan nila ng escorts, etc. And also, the Local Traffic Management Bureau will know by virtue of these meetings conducted kung ano yung mga kailangan nilang i-secure na route or yung mga daanan na kailangan nilang i-secure to ensure that no a traffic-free flow during the election period.
First of all, I would like to greet you a good day sa lahat po ng ating tagapakinig at tagapanood. Ako nga po pala si Patrolman Jayson Raquel, bilang isang miyembro ng Pambansang Pulisya ng Pilipinas. Ako po ay narito para magbigay ng impormasyon sa inyo patungkol kung ano ba ang kahalagahan o kung ano ba ang role ng mga pulis tuwing may gaganaping eleksyon. Una, simula pa lang po ng campaign period or pag i-start ng registration or mga start ng halalan, inaatasan ang pambansang pulisya upang magbigay ng seguridad. Hindi lamang po sa mga tumatakbo na mga kandidato, kundi para na rin po sa ikatatahimik ng komunidad. Na andyan na po ang una sa mga hakbangin ng pagsasagawa ng checkpoint upang maiwasan yung mga masasamang loob na siyang nagtatangka na gumawa ng pagpatay, assassination, or what na samang bagay sa oras o sa panahon ng kampanya o sa simula ng pagkakadeklara ng eleksyon. Ngunit hindi po doon natatapos yung role ng pambansang pulisya, na andyan din po na itinatalaga ang mga pulis upang magbantay ng mga balota. Hindi lamang po sa araw ng botohan, kundi simula po pagkuha kung saan mang warehouse, kukunin yung mga makina o kung anumang gamit katulad ng mga balota papunta po sa mga polling precinct or sa mga itatalaga na polling precinct ng mga eskwelahan natin sa buong bansa ng Pilipinas. Ngayon po, simula po pagkuha, pagdala sa polling precinct, sa mismong araw ng botohan na andyan pa rin po ang pambansang pulisya upang bantayan naman yung mga botante na o mga tao na exercise nila yung kanilang karapatan para bumoto sa napupusuan nilang kandidato. Hindi lamang po magbantay ng balota sa araw ng halalan, kundi magpanatili na rin po ng katahimikan kung mayroon man pong mga nais o gustong manggulo, hindi sa mismong araw ng halalan o magpagtatangka na kunin yung mga machine, ay trabaho po ng kapulisan na bantayan ito. Matapos naman po yung mismong araw ng halalan at kung madedeklara na nakaboto na o magtatapos na yung araw na pinahihintulutan yung mga tao na bumoto, sa bilangan at paglilipat ng mga makina at mga balota na nasulatan na ng mga botante, trabaho rin po ng pulisya na magbigay ng seguridad simula sa polling precinct hanggang maibalik to sa dapat nilang paglagakan. Hindi po biro ang trabaho ng kapulisan kasi hindi lamang po yung mismong makinarya or machine na at balota ang kailangan nilang bantayan, kundi pati na rin yung mga tao na nasa area o nasa komunidad. At dagdag pahirap po ito, hindi naman po alam ng mga kapulisan kung sino yung gagawa ng masama kasi sapagkat nakahalo ito sa komunidad. Mahalaga may kooperasyon yung mga concerned citizen na magbigay impormasyon kung sila ay may nakikitang kahinahinala o mga nagnanais na gumawa ng masama. Muli po, paalala sa lahat, nawa maging matiwasay at maayos po ang mangyayaring botohan. Kasi hindi naman po hangad lang ng komunidad, kundi hangad din po ng pambansang pulisya na maidaos ang anumang okasyon tulad ng eleksyon ng mapayapa at walang nasasaktan at walang nasasawi. Muli po, ang pambansang pulisya ay dapat walang kinakatigang partido o kung sino mang kandidato. Ang pambansang pulisya o ang mga pulis po ay dapat na tiling nasa gitna at tagapagpatupad lamang ng batas kung mayroon man magbabiolate nito. Maraming salamat po. Nawa po ay nabigyan ko kayo ng mahalagang kaalaman o impormasyon na maaari nyo magamit at hindi lamang po although pertaining po sa eleksyon ay itong discussion na ginagawa natin, ngunit mahalaga po na magkaroon din tayo ng ideya kasi sapagkat hindi lamang po tuwing may eleksyon may nangyaring kaguluhan. Okay. Sa lahat po ng mga pangyayari o on a daily basis po o sa pang-araw-araw, katuwang niyo po ang pambansang pulisya sa pagpapatupad ng katahimikan. Maraming salamat po. God bless. Ingat po tayo.